Choosing a Life by ginnyrules27, Chapter 2. It didn't take long for their families to arrive, though it did take Hades, Persephone, Haddie and Rhea significantly less time to arrive than Beast, Belle and Genevieve. Sometimes teleporting was a real gift. "Hey, Molly!" Haddie grinned as he went over to give his sister a hug. "Oh, I'm sorry. I mean Queen Molly." Mal chuckled. You know perfectly well that titles are not necessary around family."
"But we call Uma Captain, though, and she's family."
"Fine, titles are not necessary around siblings. Is that better, Mr. Pedantic?"
Mal teased. Haddie nodded. "Just wanted to make sure we're consistent."
"Maui! Hello, Rhea." Mal grinned as her 3-year-old little sister came toddling up to her. "How are you doing today, sweet girl?"
"I oohed. Mama said ooh have a surprise. Ooh, I had to the Eve."
"I good. Mama said you have a surprise. Do I get to see Eve?" Mal chuckled. Rhea had given the nickname of Eve to Ben's little sister Genevieve, and it had just stuck. Despite the 3-year age difference, the two girls were the best of friends. "It's almost like looking at a younger version of me and Uma," Mal thought with an inward chuckle. "If her parents bring her," Mal said to her little sister, before turning to her husband. "Speaking of parents, Ben, where's yours?"
"I'm sure they'll be here soon. Friendly reminder, Mal, my parents can't teleport, so they do have to obey traffic laws," Ben said, shaking his head. Hades snorted slightly. "Shame, really. It'd make life so much easier for them if they could teleport."
"Dear, be nice," Persephone said.
"Yeah, Papa, be nice,"
Rhea said, nodding her head. Before Hades could say anything about being admonished by his 3-year-old, Dean poked his head in.
"Your Highnesses, the king's parents, sister and brother are here."
"Send them in, Dean," Mal said. She knew that by brother Dean was referring to Chip, but also knew it took less effort to simply say brother than it was to say surrogate brother and son of his parents' former head housekeeper who now works for you. Genevieve was the first in the room.
"Hi, Ben. Hi, Mal."
"Hey, June," Ben said, bending down to hug his little sister. "Oh man, you've gotten so big. You reading anything good?"
Genevieve nodded.
"Uh-huh.
Last time we were all here, Haddie told me about this book series he used to read when he was my age. Magic Tree House. So far I'm on to Night on the Titanic, but my favourite one has to be Midnight on the Moon."
"Well, I'll be sure to look for any new ones for when your birthday comes around," Ben promised. Chip chuckled as he walked in. "And here I thought you asked us here because you had something you wanted to talk about, Benji? Or was it just an excuse to talk about books with Jean?" "You know, I never need an excuse to talk about books with my sister, Chip," Ben said as he shook his head. "But we do have something we want to talk to you about."
"Oh?" Belle asked. "What is it?"
"Is everything okay?"
Beast asked, taking off his glasses and cleaning them, probably to hide his worry or to look cool in front of Hades. Mal honestly had stopped trying to figure out the motives of her father-in-law when it came to the removing of his glasses. Ben looked over at Mal and smiled.
"You want to tell them? Or should I?"
"They're both our families. How about together?"
"Will one of you tell us before we get ancient?"
Haddie said, and Mal chuckled. "All right, Stormcloud, because you asked so nicely. I'll tell you. But Dad has to promise not to freak out first."
"Freak? Why would I freak out? I mean, it's not like you're pregnant. You're not, are you?"
"Would it be a bad thing if I said I was?" asked Mal as Estelle walked in, gently snuffling at both Genevieve and Rhea. "Dad, Ben and I talked about starting a family. We know we don't need an heir, but remember when I said I want what you and Mum have? That kinda includes a kid, too." Hades nodded slightly, though he couldn't help but remember a time when his daughter was under so much stress and pain that she shut everyone out who might have been able to help her. She tried so hard to do it alone, and the last thing Hades wanted was for her to feel like she had to do it again. Mal smiled knowingly as she saw the look on her father's face. Gently taking Hades' hand, she said, This isn't like it was with Natalie, Dad. I know this is going to be a lot of stress, but this is something both Ben and I want. We're going to be a team. Besides, you honestly think Uma, Harry or Jay would let anyone like Natalie get within 1 inch of the pup?
Ben coughed and raised an eyebrow as Mal looked at him.
Oh, right. Add Ben to that mix, Ben said as she realised who she'd left out, the people who'd protect her kid. And Henry, for that matter. And...
Mal, it might actually take less time if we said who wouldn't protect my niece or nephew, Hattie said with a small chuckle. I think Dad's just going through a whole not wanting his kids to grow up shtick, even though we know all gods and godlings in the family.
He walked over to Mal and gave her a big hug.
I'm happy for you, Molly.
Are you just happy that now you have a little niece or nephew you'll get to spoil?
Mal asked as she hugged him back. Am I a bad uncle if I say it's both?
Persephone chuckled as she walked over to her daughter, just as Ben was embraced by his mum and dad. I'm so happy for you, dear, Persephone said as she brought Mal into a hug. Do you know when your due date is? Doctors can't give an exact due date, but they say around the end of May.
Mal said, So soon? Belle asked as she looked over at her daughter-in-law. I thought... Because Mal is biologically fae and a godling, her gestational window is shorter than that of mortals, Hades said, speaking up and, finally, going over to hug his oldest daughter.
Why are they hugging Melly, Evie?
Rhea asked Genevieve.
Because she's going to have a baby,
Genevieve said, giving the smaller godling a small smile.
I am?
No, Persephone chuckled as she heard her daughter's question. It won't be right now, sweetheart. Marley's baby needs time to grow, so that they can grow up and be big and strong, like you and Addie.
Then I can play with them?
Well, no, honey, but we can set up a play date with Ari and Paige. Or how about Clara and Hallie? Maybe we'll go to Henry and Claudine's house. Rhea nodded, clapping her hands together.
I Uncle Henry's.
Mal chuckled. Sorry, Mum. I might have accidentally referred to Henry as Uncle Henry to Rhea when I picked her up from playing with Clara and Hallie, and it just kind of stuck.
Well, at least she doesn't have an obsession with swords, Hattie pointed out.
Yet, Mal pointed out. Oh, speaking of which,
our child is not having a sword before they're old enough to walk, Mal,
Ben said, sounding more amused than anything else. But there, this is a child of one of the captains of the best gang on the Isle of the Lost we're talking about.
Even so, if our child can't walk, sparring won't do them much good,
Ben chuckled. Persephone shook her head and chuckled. I know you two only just found out, but any thoughts on a name?
Oh, Ben said and bit his lip. I've been so happy over the news I didn't think.
Actually, Mal said, her voice soft, breaking into whatever Ben was going to say. I did have one idea. I know how much you love your grandfather, Ben. And, well, what do you think of having our child's name be Maurice, if they're a boy?
Mal.
I mean, you don't have to, Mal said quickly. But all Ben did was walk over and bring Mal into his arms. Out of the corner of his eye, Ben saw his mum dab the corner of her eye with a handkerchief, but he was sure they were happy tears.
I love that idea,
Ben said as he looked at Mal. Okay, Maurice Benjamin if the pup's a boy, Mal said, and Ben paused.
I'm sorry?
What, you thought that we were going to have Florian as our child's middle name?
It's a lot better than Bertha.
First off, the person who gave me my middle name was incredibly evil, which is why, second, all of our children will not be getting either of our middle names. Not unless you want to pay for their years of therapy.
Peach chuckled. Better fatherly advice, Ben. Always agree with the pregnant woman. As much as I hate to agree with Beastie, he's right,
Hades said.
Especially if that pregnant woman has the ability to turn into a dragon. You two might want to prepare for the eventuality of Pop having Marley's abilities.
Right. Mal nodded. Mum, Dad, how do you deal with having a magical toddler?
Have a magical barrier.
We're still dealing with having a magical toddler, Persephone said, giving Hades a look before gesturing to Rhea, who'd sat down with Genevieve as she pulled out her book. It still curled up around the two girls to give them some support, and to make sure they were okay. He knew he was a babysitter, and he was going to make sure the pups were okay. No pups got harmed on his watch.
Well, at least you do know you have a trustworthy babysitter. Chip chuckled as he saw that. Oh, and here I thought Uncle Jib would want to watch his niece or nephew at some point.
Ben teased,
Of course I would! Who else would teach them how to handle things the human way? Their Uncle Haddy, of course.
Haddy said as he shook his head.
I said the human way, not the godling way. Chip snorted in amusement.
Mal shook her head. You know, I have to say, kinda thought Dad would be freaking out a lot more.
Mal, you've been married for 3 years, and you're an adult. I am perfectly capable.
He's ranting over the mental link, Persephone said, amusement evident in her voice, as she looked over at her husband. Though I will have to say you're showing remarkable restraint in keeping it just between you and me, dear.
I'd rather not have Rhea hear what I'm saying.
Hades grumbled. Dear, she's 3. I doubt she'll have manifested her mental link by now.
She's an Auradon, though, Stuff. You never know how the barrier might have affected the kid's development with their powers.
Persephone sighed as she knew her husband was right, but looked over at Mal. Anyway, bring us back on topic. He's ranting over the mental link. Ah, thought so. Mal nodded. Let me guess, something along the lines of, Not my little girl! What, are you crazy? You're just an infant. And, of course, the old chestnut.
Haddy's not dating until he's 30.
Am I wrong?
Wait, what? When did it move up to 30? Haddy said, looking at his dad. When your sister got pregnant.
Hades said, his voice flat. I'm over 15, Dad. By Lost Revenge rules, I'm old enough to date. Haddy said firmly before turning to Mal.
Isn't that right, Molly?
Mal chuckled. That's right, Stormcloud. If you're over the age of 15, flirtationships and other methods of relationship are fair game.
You don't want to say the word fling in front of our little sister, do you?
Haddy said knowingly. She's under 15, Mal said with a shrug.
Ben chuckled as he continued to hold her close. Still following ship rules?
I am one of the captains, Benny. How would it look if I didn't follow the rules I helped design? Belle shook her head. I don't mean to change the subject, but any ideas for names if your child's a girl? Oh, Mal said softly. In all honesty, she didn't have any. Maurice just jumped out as a name, because Mal knew how much Ben loved his grandfather. Plus, Auradon still had a ridiculous naming concept of having children share the first letter of one of their parents' names, so Mal figured it might as well be a name that meant something to Ben.
We've got time,
Ben said, still holding Mal close to him. I think Belle just wanted to know so she can design the sign that'll go over their private library. Chip said, gently teasing the woman who was practically a second mother to him. Yeah, no, Mal shook her head. Our child doesn't need a private library.
Yes, they do, Ben and Haddy said at the same time.
Mal paused for a moment. Okay, Ben, I expected, but hats?
If I gave them a book as a gift for their birthday or something, where are they going to put it?
Haddy asked, shrugging slightly. How about on their bookshelf?
And if they run out of room?
Then they can donate the books if they don't want any more.
Hades chuckled. Okay, I'm pretty sure just saying that is a mistake in this family. Between Belle and Sunspot, I'm surprised this castle's not covered in books.
Belle and Adam don't live with us, remember? Mal said. And you haven't seen our room, Dad. Ben's got a to-read later pile on his bedside table that threatens to topple onto him every time he turns over in his sleep.
Like mother, like son, then. Beast chuckled. Only Belle's pile threatened to topple onto Mrs. Potts whenever she made the bed.
Yeah, Mum always did around about that. Chip nodded. Where is Mum, speaking of her? Thought she'd be working with Benji.
Ben nodded. She's in the kitchen right now, Chip. I can call her up if you want to see her, but we haven't given the staff the news yet.
We wanted to tell all of you first, before we let them know. Mal nodded. Your families. You should know.
I hope that means Emma's going to be informed at some point.
Hades said. Of course, Mal said firmly. What? Did you think I wasn't going to tell her until the day the pup's born?
I just thought, since she wasn't here.
She's on a date with Harry. No way am I breaking that up. And Jay's at an away game with the Oridon Lions while Amir and Akio are busy actually spending some time with their own wives.
You are aware you probably just summoned them, aren't you?
Ben asked with a small smile. Emma and Elle are more than likely to get them to stay put. Emma especially. Don't forget they're trying for a child as well. Oh, how wonderful. Belle smiled. Snow will be thrilled to be a grandmother. Mal nodded. Emma doesn't know why, but she said Amir wants to have their child in August. She said the last time I talked with her. Hence why we've seen so much less of Amir.
You know, I'm starting to think he took Chad's comment as a challenge.
Ben sighed. What comment?
Chad may have made a comment back when we were trying to convince Akio and Amir to propose to Emma and Elle that because of how connected we are, one or all of our kids could end up dating each other.
Hattie chuckled.
Amir probably thought it'd make it easier if his kid was the same age as yours, Ben.
You know I wouldn't put it past them, Mal sighed. Though now I almost feel like we should check in on Elle, if Emma's trying to get pregnant.
Mal, you know that if Elle was pregnant, Akio would be prancing around her like he developed the perfect sandwich.
Ben said with a small chuckle. You raise a good point there.
Beast shook his head. Shall we go and inform the staff of the new prince or princess who will be arriving?
You're just looking forward to seeing Mum react the same way she did when you told the staff that Bella was pregnant with Ben. Chip chuckled. Woo! Tell!
Hattie grinned. She practically lifted him off of the ground with her hug. Chip told the younger boy, and with Ben, I have no doubt she'll actually be able to do it. Now this I've got to see. Hattie smirked.
Friendly reminder, any and all teasing now gets reciprocated when you have kids of your own, Stormcloud. Mal said, maybe with Alex. She teased over the mental link, trying her best to keep a knowing smirk off her face.
What, Mal? We're just friends, okay? I swear, ever since Harry and Uma got together after you took down Freddy the first time, you've been seeing couples where there aren't any.
Aha! You just keep telling yourself that, Hats. All I know is that you seem rather passionate about Dad mandating that he'll be 30 before you can start dating.
Wouldn't you be just as passionate? I mean, come on, Mal. If Dad told you you couldn't date Ben before you were 30, you'd probably drag on up on him.
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
Meaning it's true.
Mal shook her head as the group began to leave the room, Persephone scooping up her daughter and Beast doing the same with his. Be prepared for happy squeals, boy, Mal whispered to Estelle as he made his way to her side. He nodded. One thing I know for sure, pup, Mal thought, as her fingers trailed over her stomach. You'll definitely be loved. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Oh, that one's really, really sweet. I like that one a lot. I love the fact that Genevieve and Rhea are friends. That's so freaking cute. And the little bits with Estelle going, he knew he was a babysitter and no pups were going to be harmed on his watch. Love that so much. I love that everyone's saying, like, what are the names? You know we're going to spoil them. I needed this happily ever after, I think. Things have been stressful for me recently internally. My anxiety's been flaring up. But God, I needed this. One thing I've noticed throughout this, when they refer to Mal's dragon transformations, Ginny, is that a reference to the American dragon Jake Long? Whenever the character turned into his dragon form, the command word was dragon up! Fun fact, Ginny, if you're into Avatar The Last Airbender and shipped Zutara, Jake is voiced by Dante Bosco, the voice of Zuko, and Rose is voiced by Mae Whitman, who's the voice of not only Katara in that series, but also Tinkerbell in the Tinkerbell franchise. Fun little fact for you there. I follow a lot of these things, so I kind of know how this goes. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified when I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, girls, and albino pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.